with Indian economy has registered 7.6% GDP growth rate in 2015-16, and according to IMF, it will continue to maintain its robust growth. Major initiatives like Make in India, Startup India, new FDI policy, ease of doing business, the IPR policy, launch of Exim dashboard, the government e-marketplace and Twitter Seva are some of the many high points which will be touched upon in this session. It's our privilege to have with us the Honorable Minister of State Independent Charge for Commerce and Industry, Smt. Nirmala Sitharaman ji, who will tell you all about these measures. I extend a warm welcome to you, Madam. I also welcome Additional Secretary, Ministry of Commerce, Shri Anup Wadhwa. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. And Director General Foreign Trade, Shri A.K. Ballaji. Friends, first, as usual, the Honorable Minister will make her opening remarks. We will then take some questions. And I'm sure by now you are familiar with the points of order. Since morning I have been telling you, and also the Delhi journalists also. So we'll follow that same points of order. Thank you. Now over to the Honorable Minister.
Good afternoon to all of you all. I think through periodic press interaction, most of you are fairly familiar with all the developments which are happening in specific to commerce and industry. However, just to highlight a few things, I would talk about commerce from the point of view of trade, the measures that we've taken to protect and to safeguard the interest of exporters, whether it is in the form of interest subvention or in the form of merchandise export incentivizing scheme, and so with service export incentivizing scheme. We are also working very closely with the ECGC to ensure that there is credit guarantee given for exporters. Other than that, there's a very well-planned approach to finding new markets for our exporters, because traditional markets are saturating for want of more demand. So the newer markets, newer products are being worked out. In the process, many of our exporters have reached some parts of Africa, some parts of Latin America, and therefore opening up of newer markets is also intensively an area in which we've had success in trying to tie up with Peru, Chile, and countries like that. We are activating, as you know, the BIMSTEC, we are activating Mercosur, we are looking at South Africa South Africa and its neighboring countries as a potential for opportunities that may exist. So if you're looking at trade, merchandise goods needs a lot of helping, because that's where the demand is really drastically falling. Services are surviving somehow, but services also, we are holding global exhibition on services. We are expanding the scope of services, not just to include IT and IT-enabled sectors, but we are also talking about other areas. You know the major achievement in that we have interacted with the Swiss government and ensured that the Ayurvedic pharmacopoeia is getting recognition there, and as a result of which now people in Switzerland have medical insurance covering if they take Ayurvedic treatment. Ayurvedic medicines are covered in their list of medicines. So is now Italy also starting to talk on introducing such measures. Then you spend a lot of time on regional trade agreements. We are in negotiation at the RCEP. We are talking with Australia. We are talking with Canada for the FTAs. So in a way, you have an overview of commerce through these various activities. WTO is a continuing forum where even recently in Norway we had a mini-ministerial meet. One new thing which has entered from our list of things into WTO is the trade facilitation agreement related matters related to services. You have a trade facilitation agreement on goods, which India has ratified, but there isn't any at all in discussion at the WTO on trade facilitation in services. India was invited to submit a concept paper. We had submitted. Now we are looking at expanding that into somewhat like a proposal for which the legal language is being vetted, and that paper is getting finalized. We'll be submitting that. That's about, I can say, on commerce as a bird's eye view. You can always ask me specific questions if I've missed out on any also. As regards industry, I think we have taken a lot of steps to energize the Delhi-Mumbai industrial corridor, the Kolkata-Amritsar corridor, Kolkata-Visakhapatnam downwards to Chennai corridor, Chennai downwards that has been extended to Thoothukudi and Kolachal, and Chennai-Bengaluru corridor. Now these corridors are not just the industrial corridor lines, but also you have nodes on either side. I am making an effort to make sure that the National Investment and Manufacturing Zone, which also had listed a lot of nodal centers, also get integrated into the industrial corridors so that there is a comprehensive development around these corridors. So corridors each will have their own SPVs. Cabinet is giving us approval for that. Other than that, we are working with the state governments through which these corridors pass so that their inputs are also validly taken. I don't want to continuously have a monologue. There's enough to say, more to say on industries too, because several of the pharma cities, textile hubs, state governments proposing to have spice parks, all of this is happening simultaneously. So for now, however loose it is, I'll leave it at that, but you may ask me questions and maybe fill the gaps as I've left it.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, Madam. I think she has given a lot of time for interaction by being very brief deliberately. Otherwise, Madam can talk for 3 hours on a subject. Okay, 270, please.
Good evening. I am Majid from Hyderabad. How the government will bridge the trade imbalance, especially the import and exports?
Well, we are trying to encourage exports to boost their performance to be improved sectorally. So if there are some particular sectors with a particular disadvantage, we are trying to help them to come out of it. As I said, we are looking at newer markets where they can export. Iran is coming back to being somewhat normal, so we'll restore our exports on steel, tea, rice, and also many project exports, not just to Iran, but to many African countries. Services market has not dried up, and in fact, if anything, the services market is also keeping up, keeping pace. Well, several efforts, several sectorally, several across the board. So it's an ongoing process.
Yes, please.
Madam Sitharaman ji, this is Suresh Bhatevara from Lokmat. I am from Maharashtra, and my district Nasik is a grape growing district largest grape growing district in the country. Last several years, means from 1991, the grape export from this country has started. It is 2015, but till date, the grape grower farmers are not getting proper help from the Commerce Ministry for the export of grapes. Especially the help from APEDA is very less. So can you enlighten us what can be done in this context? And another question I would like to ask about the startups. Much has been talked about startups. What is the progress in this context in the country?
See, on the grapes, Delegations meet me from Nashik. They've not told me, and next time I meet them, I'll certainly say, look, you missed out on something which our senior journalist friend has told me, that EPIRA is not helping you. And after hearing you, I'll probably go back to pulling up EPIRA saying you're not helping the grape. That's not true. That's not true at all. EPIRA is actually doing a lot of work. In fact, yesterday, grape growers from Nashik, when I was in the General Council meeting of the Horticulture Board in the Agriculture Ministry, Nashik grape growers were there. They've spoken to me. Every negotiation that I have with the US, with Australia, with the European Union, we've been talking about grape export. Of course, there's a lot of issues related to pesticide residue, which I don't agree. I'm not suggesting that Nashik growers have the problem. But if there is an issue to expand on exports related to residue-related problems, we are getting experts to come and inspect, advise on what is acceptable level. And on that, personally, I was involved in talking to growers last year. If there is an artificial level which is being brought in, that I will not accept. So on the grape growers of Nashik, I have myself been personally involved and working with them. We'll certainly like to have more grapes exported, but that's work in progress. So that's about grape. And about startup, I think since the time any project has been launched by Government India, any time, the launch of startups and the follow-up on that, and quickly responding to the grievances or any suggestions which came from the concerned startups themselves. If there's been a responsive and reactive scheme, it is startup scheme. Since April till today, not only is there enough activity happening on it, well, lots more can be done. Lots more incubators can be set up. Lots more centers where you can have startups come and meet can happen. But it has triggered a lot of interest in private sector, angel investors, newer people who want to train people to become startup centers, co-work space I've been to. So there is a lot happening on startups, but I agree, a lot more needs to be done.
Yes, madam.
I'm Sarita Verma from Kerala. Rubber production has been decelerating. I come from Kerala where many in plantations, many farmers have been quitting tapping. I'm sure that the government has been considering an incentive package. An incentive package has been announced, but has been planned, but it's yet to be announced. Are there price incentives? What are the insurance plan? What are the things in the anvil? What are the incentives in anvil?
Well, on the rubber boards activities, I don't want to elaborate here, but they are constantly in touch with the tappers. They are in touch with the small growers of rubber, natural rubber in Kerala. A pilot project for ensuring growers was launched. There's more to be done for the betterment of rubber growers, I agree. But as it is, I think we have responded by restricting imports, permitting less quantity to come into this country, and for ensuring that the rubber which is imported duty-free under the advanced licensing is kept for a shorter period with the manufacturers so that they can, for whatever purpose they imported, they produce that and send it out as export, is not kept for 1.5 years but is reduced time to 6 months. And also again, as a measure in response to the demand of rubber growing farmers, we ensure that these imports which come in only to certain ports and not to all ports. So we have been in support. In fact, I would have, if anyone needs to accuse me of anything, they can only accuse me of saying, you've done too many times sitting and hearing rubber growers' grievances, would you want to do the same for other plantations as and when there is a problem? So I have been very, very, because I recognize there is an issue, I recognize there is a problem, I recognize that Indian rubbers is slightly only more than the international price of rubber, which has anyway fallen very badly. So there are issues of Indian industry wanting to import rubber rather than buy from the local market. There are several reasons we are working together on that.
Yeah, Sharma.
Good afternoon, ma'am. This is Ramesh Sharma from Open Eye News and Business Search, Bhopal. My question is that recent China has publicized very negatively the Indian scenario of business. So have you ever condemned it and opposed it at the international forum?
Chinese
Yeah,
government-
Chinese has published against the scenario of India pertaining to doing business. China has released news in a local newspaper of China.
Well, I'm not sure who from China did it, whether the
No,
government
no,
of China
I have read
or minister-
I have read in the newspaper the
No, I
China.
was-
Yeah, China has criticized the scenario of India
will you-
that it's very difficult to do the business in India, being a very corrupt country and unskilled workers like that. So my question is this: have you ever, from the minister side, condemned this news at the international level?
Even I've read it in the media. The answer that I would want to give you is this. Who from China has said it is something which I want to establish. Was it the minister? Was it the prime minister? Was it the president? Or was it any government person who's done it? Or is it in a country like ours, for instance, democratic, probably in China too? It could have been an opinion generating. And is it for me to respond, or is it for us as Government of India to respond to an opinion which comes out not knowing who has commented? I'd rather first of all spend time to know who from the government of China has said it.
It's all right. Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
मैम मैं सनत जैन हूँ, एक्सप्रेस मीडिया सर्विस न्यूज एजेंसी है। भारत की इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट की सबसे बड़ी शिकायत है कि उन्हें प्रशिक्षित जैसे वो मिलने चाहिए, लोग काम करने वाले वो मिल नहीं रहे, मतलब जो शिक्षा लेके आते हैं वो उसके अनुरूप नहीं होते हैं। दूसरा, हमारी चाइना के मुकाबले भारतीय उत्पादों की कीमत ज़्यादा है। तो इस स्थिति में जैसे अभी पिछले 3 माह में अपना निर्यात व्यापार भी थोड़ा सा घटा है, तो हम चीन का मुकाबला कैसे करेंगे, ये आम लोगों में जिज्ञासा है।
चीन का मुकाबला करना बहुत ही डिफरेंट स्तर से सुधार करने का आवश्यकता है, और इसमें सरकार की भागीदारी भी है और प्राइवेट सेक्टर का भागीदारी भी होगा, क्योंकि हर प्रोडक्शन में सरकार भाग नहीं लेते। प्राइवेट सेक्टर का प्रोडक्शन भी है, उनके कॉम्पिटिटिवनेस को इंक्रीज करवाने के लिए वो सेक्टर, इंडस्ट्रियल सेक्टर ही काम करना है। और उसमें अगर बिजली के वजह से, सड़क के वजह से, या तो बाकी सब इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर जैसे कि कॉमन एफ्लुएंट ट्रीटमेंट प्लांट वगैरह की वजह से और उन कमियों के वजह से उनके कॉम्पिटिटिवनेस में कुछ कमियां हैं, उसको सुधारने के लिए जरूर सरकार भाग लेगी।
माइक में बात कर लीजिए प्लीज।
हायर एजुकेशन के जो बच्चे आ रहे हैं, जैसे नारायण मूर्ति साहब ने बोला कि यहाँ के जो इंजीनियर निकल के आ रहे हैं वो इस लायक नहीं है कि वो इंडस्ट्री को या कॉम्पीट कर पाएँ, तो शिक्षा की पद्धति भी कहीं ना कहीं की जॉब ओरिएंटेड या उनका जो शिक्षा का स्तर है वो ऐसा हो जिससे वो इंडस्ट्री को सपोर्ट कर पाएँ।
नहीं, आप सही कह रहे हैं, इसीलिए मैं ये बात याद दिलाना चाहती हूँ कि HRDB और स्किल डेवलपमेंट मंत्रालय में कुछ हद तक साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी डिपार्टमेंट भी इसमें भाग ले रहे हैं, और हायर एजुकेशन लेवल पर सिर्फ उनके सब्जेक्ट कंटेंट के अलावा स्किल का कंटेंट भी जोड़ना, एम्प्लॉयबिलिटी का कंटेंट भी जोड़ना, इसके ऊपर काम हो रही है।
Yes, sir.
Good evening, ma'am. This is Shobha Shachi here. I represent Uttar Bongo Sangvad, which is from the northern part of Bengal. My question concerns a lot of my cross-section of my region, and it is regarding the tea industry. As you must be aware, since you have visited the tea gardens personally during the last 1 year, There has been a stalemate as such, and hardly a week goes by when a new tea garden is closed, and there are hunger deaths, and game going on between the center and the state, lots of promises and assurances, but nothing concrete has been done so far during the last 2.5 years of your government. So I'd like to know your opinion regarding that.
I'm not sure I'll agree with you, and certainly not because not only that, I've been to the tea gardens, as you mentioned, not just last year, since 2014. And I've gone up to the Bhutan border in terms of tea gardens which are there, which are sick. I've met up with the workers. I've had a meeting with West Bengal government. The West Bengal government was also present during some of my visits. We had meetings in Siliguri. There are issues related to wage, the cash component of wage, issues related to the kind component of the wage. In fact, I had gone to the extent of speaking with West Bengal government to say, would you please restore some kind of a payment in those gardens which were not officially locked out, but which were inoperative. And even that Foulai Act could not be invoked unless they were locked out. And even where Foulai was invoked, the workers were not happy with it. They wanted wage rather than Foulai. So, you're right, it's a very, very complex situation. I've sought the cooperation of West Bengal Chief Minister. In fact, I was grateful that she was kind enough to give me a few minutes when she had come for the Interstate Council meeting. And she had suggested that the Chief Secretary work together with us. We have our officials working. I fully appreciate and recognize the anxiety with which you or anybody from that area would speak. Because, yes, the workers need better deal. We need to deal with it with a sense of urgency. Even after 2 years of spending time on it, I am still only saying this. I admit it. Because there are too many different authorities working. We are only steadily making progress. Hopefully, we will make a big difference. I don't want to lose hope. I've constantly monitored with the tea board, and you are aware of a situation where sitting there, I passed an order to take over some of the gardens. We did take over. And that matter was taken to the court. And in the court, we even appealed, saying, please, last 6 years dues are there. I'm not sure it will work with the current owners who were not coming back to dealing with the workers. Well, the court orders have come. Let's hope at least now the owners are able to do justice in those gardens. The other gardens also have problem. We are working with it. I'm seized of it. I agree. I'm unable to give immediate solutions.
Yeah, 254. Yeah.
Ma'am, I'm Pranab Talukdar. I'm from Assam, from local lady called Amar Assam. So my two question is connected with the tea. As we are producing the highest number of tea, my first question is, the lot of youth, upcoming generation now, they are coming in the small tea producer in Assam, and they produce a huge amount of in quantum wise, but not in quality wise, because now the factor of organic and inorganic is very much important for exporting of tea. So my question is that all the youth and newcomers tea growers, they are using the pesticides, reason of what we cannot export the tea. And question number 2, as we are producing the highest quantum of tea in Northeast, in Assam, so still the tea board office in Kolkata, are you actively considering the under Look East policy, the tea board office should be shifted to Guwahati? Thank you.
I don't want to undermine the seriousness of your question, but permit me to say, Bengal is east of Delhi too. Assam grows a lot of tea. We have in fact made sure that the tea board and its staff are mobile enough to move around and ensure the collection happens. Issues related to pesticide residue, if any, I'm not saying it has, or issues related to better output, medicines and other things which can be acceptably used, issues of this nature are being dealt by the tea board. In fact, very recently, in order to benefit tea growers who don't have a tea processing unit in the nearby neighborhood and who were going through a lot of problem to search for a tea processing unit, we have given orders to ensure that the local SHG groups can set up processing units with limited capacity, with very small capacity, whether it's 50 or 500, it doesn't matter, small capacities, and that they can, under the bought leaf factory category, buy the leaves, process it, and also then help to auction it. So we have flexed the existing rules to ensure that growers in parts where there are no processing units, SHG groups will be given the right to establish very small units which are not going to be capital intensive. And we are also making sure that the tea board will facilitate fund allocation through one or the other means, whether it's mudra, whether it's any other, so that factories can be set up there to overcome this problem. We are also working to ensure that what are the kind of things that they can use in the growth of tea. We are also ensuring that there are farmers who can slowly move out of what they're practicing now to grow organic tea leaves.
Yeah, well, we have time. I will come back to you. Yeah, please ask your question.
Good afternoon, ma'am. My name is Shashwat Gupta Ray. I'm editor of Govindak Times from Panjim. Ma'am, my question is it's in two parts. One is the issue of availability of land bank for new industry. Every time there's an issue about setting up industry, there's always a question mark on the land availability and the disputes that are arising out of land acquisition, especially in nature beds like Goa. What is the government stand in terms of land availability and land bank for new industry? And the second question is, ma'am, Goa per se is very primarily has been dependent on mining and now tourism. But there is no proper manufacturing concern as such to literally support the Goan economy, especially the government exchequer, if either of them fails, like it happened when mining was banned in Goa and tourism also slipped last year. So does the government have any policy on having more manufacturing concerns or development-oriented industry in Goa?
This question is specific to Goa? See, the word, the expression land bank, I'm not very comfortable with. Let's be sure, industry, when it needs land, there's an option that they can buy it. But when they don't and when they approach governments, it'll be the state governments which take care of allotting land that they have, which are not cultivable lands, which are cultivable, probably one crop lands. We don't know. The state governments have complete domain right over it. It is their prerogative. They would allot through the industrial, every state has one infrastructure corporation, industrial infrastructure corporation. So they allot the land for the industries, and industries are hopefully set up on that basis. So the center cannot be talking about land, particularly because land is a state subject. So that's one thing. As regards Goa, you're talking about Goa resources being utilized. That was a specific case of iron ore, which was in the court, which had two dimensions to it. One about extracting iron ore. The other was iron ore, which was already dug out and kept in huge amounts. Whether that could be sold off or not, the court had a look into it. Some relief was given, some other probably relief is awaited. That's a different subject altogether. Tourism in Goa. Now Goa is becoming the hub for conventions. Goa is becoming the center for film festivals. And I've not really looked into the figures of tourist flow in Goa to, exchange with you about your facts which you've quoted. There is a national manufacturing policy. It's up to the state governments to set up industries, sir. The policy is us, no doubt. But it is for state governments also to look what are the kind of industries they want, where do they want to set up. But one thing I will definitely tell you, I hope there is no picture in your mind which says there's no industry in Goa. Today, many of the medical devices which are being sent out of the country go from Goa. There are a lot of high-tech industries, small but considerably contributing to exports. Many of the medical stents which go out of the country go from Goa. Cashew processing units are in Goa. There are quite a few industries which are in and around within Goa. So industries are not completely absent. You may want more of them, but they are there.
Good evening, ma'am. I'm Prabodh Jamwal, Kashmir Times editor from Jammu and Kashmir. Under SEFTA proposals, 2 trade facilitation centers were opened between India and Pakistan in Jammu and Kashmir. There was a proposal to convert it and link this trade with banking. What are the proposals and what are the proposals in the near future? Thank you.
I'm not sure if I've understood the question. Let me repeat it, correct me if I'm wrong.
Under SAFTA proposals in 2004 January in Islamabad, trade facilitation centers were opened, one in Chakanabag and another is Aman Bridge in Kashmir, and Chakanabag is in Jammu region. Then there was a proposal to open 3 more centers for import and export between India and Pakistan, not only on barter basis, but also through banking. So what are the near future, the proposals and the stand of the government of India?
I'll ask Anup Vadavanji, who was once in finance, then my DGFT, now he's taking care of policy. You can, Anupji?
See, I'm not aware of the particular situation that these trade centers are in, but otherwise in general there is a policy to eventually move from barter trade to bank-based trade. But I'll need to check with my colleague who looks after Pakistan and I can get back to you. I'll take your particulars after this meeting and I can get back to you.
Yeah, Vishwanath. Yes.
I am Vishwanathan, editor Industrial Economist from Chennai. You expressed some concern, some data on foreign trade. I would like to cite 2 instances, one import and one export, where you can do a lot to improve the situation. One relates to corruption. You very rightly reacted to the mention of this. Engineering exporter who does business about 500 crores says he cannot move his container without paying speed money. He said he has brought it to your notice, but there is a problem of dealing it too openly because you know the problem, what it is. Once I asked him, why can't you make an issue out of it? He says, the container will be detained, I have to supply the product to US on just-in-time basis. If he delays it, asks me to open it and go through that in detail, I will lose my shirt. There's one, madam. The second relates to our own queendom. We come from queendom of Tamil Nadu, where we distribute a lot of money on subsidies. About 2,000 crores of subsidies were spent a year on import of mixies and grinders and fans. And these are all capable of being manufactured in Coimbatore, Rajkot or anywhere. But to our horror, the entire packets come lock, stock and barrel from China. There is no benefit to any one of our industries on this. Can't you do something to avert this colossal wastage of our own money of not very highly sophisticated products, but simple, stupid instruments like a fan or a mixie? Should all these things go to China with whom we have adverse trade balance?
I'm actually searching for words. No, but you've actually put your finger on the underbelly of certain sectors, whether it's political, whether it's economic, whether it's customs, whether it is your border posts. And these are things which, that's why I'm searching for my words. I'll give you an answer, but I will take my time to find the right words. It is like, if I suggest something to talk about, why not buy Indian and then give what you promised, which is what you're suggesting. I'm in a way going along with populist promises. Do I need to do that? Am I answerable for that? It's not my party's promise. So technically speaking, that's an area in which if I go along the path that you've laid for me, I will be commenting on an area which is not my domain at all. But as regards goods which are held up, containers which can't move because of what you think, corruption, I will certainly take it up with the customs because that directly hurts my export capacity. I will definitely do that.
Yeah. Madam, good evening. This is Hanikumar from Puri Thalamrai. நான் என்னோட क्वेश्चன்ஸ் தமிழ்லயே கேட்க விரும்புறேன். For ரீசன்ட்டா வேர்ல்ட் பேங்க் கொடுத்த அந்த ஃபிகர்ஸ்ல தமிழ்நாடு
மெதுவா கேளுங்க, ரொம்ப ஃபாஸ்டா போறீங்க நீங்க.
ரீசெண்டா வேர்ல்ட் பேங்க் கொடுத்த அந்த ஃபிகர்ஸ்ல ஈஸ் ஆஃப் டூயிங் பிசினஸ் அதுல தமிழ்நாட்டுக்கு 18th பிளேஸ் கொடுத்திருந்தாங்க. எலியர் லாஸ்ட் இயர் வந்து 12th பிளேஸ்.
நீங்க மெதுவா பேசுறது உரக்கவும் பேசணும். ஆனா
ஏர்லியர் லாஸ்ட் இயர் வந்து 12th பிளேஸ் வந்து கொடுத்துருந்தாங்க. ஸோ இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு பின்னுக்கு தள்ளப்படுறதுக்கு என்ன காரணம் நினைக்கிறீங்க? அண்ட் ஆஸ் அ காமர்ஸ் மினிஸ்டரா இது சரின்னு நினைக்கிறீங்களா? அந்த மாதிரி 18th ஈஸ் ஆஃப் டூயிங் பிஸ்னஸில் தமிழ்நாட்டில் பண்ணுறதுல பிரச்சனை இருக்குது அப்படின்னு நினைக்கிறீங்களா? அப்படி பிரச்சனை இருக்குன்னா என்னென்ன செக்டார்ஸில் பிரச்சனை இருக்குது? எந்தெந்த பாலிசிஸை தமிழ்நாடு கவர்மெண்ட் மாற்றி முடியும்? அதாவது லேண்ட் அக்விசிஷனாக இருக்கட்டும், மற்ற டாக்ஸேஷன்ஸ், இந்த மாதிரி எந்த மாதிரி பிரச்சனைகள் இருக்குன்னு நினைக்கிறீங்க? ஏன்னா இப்போது ஃபாக்ஸ்கான மூடியிருந்தாங்க, நோக்கியாவை மூடியிருந்தாங்க. ஸோ அப்படி பிரச்சனை இருக்குன்னா எந்தெந்த செக்டார்ஸில் அந்த பிரச்சனை வந்திருக்கு? என்னென்ன செக்டார்ஸில் அந்த மாதிரி பாலிசிஸை தமிழ்நாடு கவர்மெண்ட் மாற்றிக்கணும்னு நினைக்கிறீங்க?
ஒவ்வொரு செக்டரா சொல்றதுக்கு இல்லைங்க. இங்கிலீஷ்ல சொல்லட்டுமா? பரவாயில்லையா? நீங்க தமிழ்ல கேட்டு நான் இங்கிலீஷ்ல சொல்றேன். See, the question which was asked was ease of doing business pertaining to Tamil Nadu as to why from rank 12 to rank 15 it is gone backwards, it's not progressed, as to why that has happened, and also would we know the sectors in which improvements have not happened as a result of which Tamil Nadu's position has worsened. So my answer to that is it's not sectors. The first year you had about 90 different steps that each state had to address to remove hurdles if there were any, to deregulate, to remove unwanted rules and regulations. Where there were too many paper, remove the paper and put it online, things like that. So there were for 90 different steps which the state governments were well informed in advance. All states knew it. And that was for 14-15. For 15-16, the current ranking is based on இல்லைங்க நம்பர் ஆஃப் ஐட்டம்ஸ் சொல்கிறேன், எந்த வருஷத்துக்கு ரேங்கிங். ஸோ ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ரேங்கிங் வாஸ் பேஸ்ட் ஆன் ஸ்டெப்ஸ் டேக்கன் பிட்வீன் 14 and 15, years 2014 and 15. The next set of ranking was based on the years 15-16, where nearly 340 items were listed for every state to address. If you've progressed in each one of them, your position improved. So those sectors are very well known. Sectors in the sense, those issues on which you had to remove hurdles, make it easy, were known to the state governments. நம்ம state government தெரியுங்க. So on those, if they had improved, and at least if 50%, 70% were fulfilled, they could have been higher in the list.
Yeah, please ask.
I am Jayaprakash from Kerala. Madam, there is a proposal from the Kerala government seeking financial assistance to ongoing rubber incentive, rubber price stabilization scheme. Do you have any plans to help Kerala in this respect?
Price stabilization
Scheme.
was once utilized in rubber, long back.
No, it is going on in Kerala now.
Sorry?
It is going on. The scheme is going on in Kerala.
Right.
And they are seeking financial assistance from central government.
1 minute. I don't know which one you're talking about. If there is a scheme which the state government has funded, the government, before this government has come to power, had announced a quantum of money, 300 crores or something like that. Am I right? Are you referring to that? The state government came up with that scheme, said they were giving 300 crores out of their budget to support small growers, and that is happening through the rubber board. Only because rubber growers are registered with the board and they know them, they know their identity, and therefore the rubber board was asked to give that money to rubber growers. That's something which the Sri Umman Chandiji's government had announced and released well before the elections, well before the election.
Yeah, I'll take a last question from this side, then we'll move to the
హలో
media. Yes.
నమస్తే మేడం, నేను తెలుగులో మాట్లాడతానండి. ఇవాళ ఆంధ్రప్రదేశ్ తెలంగాణ రాష్ట్రాలకు సంబంధించి ఫస్ట్ సెకండ్ స్థానాలు ఇచ్చారు. అంటే ఇద్దరికి ఫస్ట్ స్థానాలు ఇచ్చారు. అయితే కేంద్ర ప్రభుత్వం మాకు ఎటువంటి సహాయం చేయలేదు అనేది ఆ రెండు రాష్ట్ర ప్రభుత్వాలు చేస్తున్న కామెంట్స్. అంటే మాకు పరిశ్రమల పరంగా కానీ ఇంకే రకమైన కానీ కూడా మాకు సహాయం చేయట్లేదని చెప్తున్నాయి. మరి ఏ రకంగా మీరు ఆ రెండు రాష్ట్రాలకు ఫస్ట్ స్థానాలు ఇచ్చారనేది? ఎందుకంటే నేను నవ తెలంగాణ పత్రిక, హైదరాబాదు, నా పేరు వేణుమాధవరావు.
ఏ రాష్ట్రానికి కూడా మేము సహాయం చేయలేదండి. ఆంధ్రప్రదేశ్, తెలంగాణకు మాత్రం కాదు, భారతదేశంలో ఉన్న ఏ రాష్ట్రానికి కూడా మేము ఏ రకంగా కూడా సహాయం చేయలేం. ర్యాంకింగ్ చేసినది ఒక పథకం ద్వారా వరల్డ్ బ్యాంక్ సహాయంతో వాళ్ళ ఫార్ములాని ఉపయోగించి స్టేట్స్ తోటి మాట్లాడి వాళ్ళని కూడా మాతో చేర్చుకొని మేము కలిసి ఏ రకంగా మనం చేసుకుంటే ర్యాంకింగ్ బాగా వస్తుంది, ఎలా చేయాలి, బిజినెస్ చేసే వాళ్ళకి సువిధ మనం ఎలా చేసి కల్పించగలుగుతాం అనేది మాట్లాడినాక ర్యాంకింగ్ పద్ధతి మొదలైంది. అందువల్ల వాళ్ళిద్దరికి మాత్రం చేయలేదు అనేది సరికాదు, ఎవరికి చేయలేదు కదా.
Madam, I am Dilip from Odisha. The SEZ all across the countries are not coming up, and those have come up are not doing well. In Odisha, we have about 16 SEZ registered, but none of them are coming up. We applied for aluminium, we applied for multi-product, we applied for steel, everything. Even IT, 2 SEZ in IT, but none of the SEZs are coming up. What, are you going to revisit these SEZs? Why they are not coming up?
If they are not coming up, I would like to know more as to why they are not coming up. It comes to us to the approval stage well after everything is sorted out at the state government level. And if they're not coming up, if the land has been locked up for the purpose with no development or no progress happening, it will be the state government also for them to come and tell us it's not happening, would you want to denotify? That is something which only the state can do, and then let us know for us to denotify. So the process always gets triggered to notify or gets triggered even to denotify through the state government. On that, a lot of discussion is happening, where the GST Council will take a position on it.
Yeah, ma'am, Donald Trump in his election campaign took a view against outsourcing and immigration. So what does his presidentship, because he's now will be the new president of US, how will it impact our interests in United States when it comes to the IT sector? Because a lot of professionals move there and go and work there. A lot of companies from India has invested in US. And what is the strategy that you have in mind to protect interests of Indian companies, especially IT companies in US, given the kind of comments that were made by Mr. Trump during his election campaign?
We'll continue to negotiate with the government there, even after the new president-elect now, who takes charge in early January, middle January. And we shall certainly, at the earliest available moment, give a brief and a profile of where our industry is, what is their contribution, particularly the IT sector that you're referring to the US economy, and hope that the president-elect will deal with it in all fairness.
Yes, Nirmala.
Madam, the small tea growers and growers of medicinal herbs had demanded that the government's crop insurance scheme be extended to them. Any proposal, any plans of the government on this? And next is about the agri-export zones. I want to know the status and how they are performing, or any chance or plans for revitalizing the agri-export zones.
See, on the insurance, you're right, we are considering extending it to the tea growers, small tea growers. But I'm not sure we have made any progress as yet on it. If there's anything, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Huh? Agri-export zone. See, all these export zones, whether it is a multi-level agri, specifically notified zones, their progress and the contribution that they're making, particularly to exports, are all being periodically reviewed. I need to definitely come back to you on the agri-export zones.
Madam, there are 2-3 written questions. I'll read one from Suresh from Lokpat, Maharashtra. He says it's very, very important. Sugar industry in Maharashtra is in crisis. It is the demand that export ban on sugar be lifted. The cooperative sugar factories are under pressure of heavy loans. They can earn some money through export. Mr. Sharad Pawarji met PM in this context recently. May I know what policy decision government is taking in this regard?
If anything, this government, as regards sugar, I don't know where this gentleman is seated.
Yeah.
You asked us a question orally. You could have asked this also. Why this is written?
So
you should have given your first question also in the written form. I could have kept it for my record. See, as regards sugar and the loans which are pending through the mills for the farmers, if anything, this was the government coming in 14, took measures in stages to clear all the mill dues for the sugar cane growers. The government of India made sure it spoke and asked the mill owners that yes, we will clear your money, you provided, pass it on directly to the cane growers. And after which the mills were asked to contact banks for credit. That's the first stage. I have not completed my answer. I know you have lots to say on sugar, but wait, even I have to say a lot. So that's one. The second year came, by which time the Jan Dhan Yojana had already grounded itself. So we took a stage again forward and said, look, we are willing to give you to clear the farmers' dues, but give us the account numbers, we directly do a DBT to the farmers. That's what we did. And therefore, if there were cane arrears which were due to the farmers, it was during this government that salon se jo arrears which were lying left like that came down from about 100% to say 90. There still may be some dues somewhere. But majority of the cane growing farmers' arrears were cleared either by direct benefit transfer or the first year before the Jandan through the government sending it directly. After which the mills were asked to contact, if they had cleared the dues, they were asked to contact the banks to get interest-free loans. So I would want to tell you that on a sensitive commodity like sugar, already organic sugar goes without any difficulty in export. Already in some advanced authorization areas concerning the SEZs, raw sugar goes out. The government has been repeatedly saying convert some for ethanol, if possible make raw sugar rather than refined sugar, because exports can be benefited. So these are largely the steps we have taken, but I still think that you have a issue. What is it now? Please.
There is difference between UP sugar mills and Maharashtra sugar mills, because Maharashtra major sugar mills are cooperative sugar mills. Farmers are the owners, and those cooperative sugar factories are under pressure of loans, not the cane growers. Therefore, it is their demand that export ban should be lifted for refined sugar so that they can earn something and they can repay the money. They have to pay FRP also to the farmers. So Maharashtra sugar factories till date, they are abiding with the law, and in this context, Mr. Sharad Pawar has recently met Mr. Modi to resolve this issue.
I'll pass this message on to Consumer Affairs. If they think that's not going to lead to a price and hike in the price of sugar, I'll be glad to allow them to export.
This gentleman's throat is really bad, madam. His name is Loyal Akpa, editor, Taudang Times, Daily News. He says Manipur was merged 15th October 1949 with India. We people of Manipur are proud to be Indian nationals, but Manipur has no industries till today, even after 67 years. Do you have any plans to establish permanent industries and factories in Manipur?
Central government will be happy to do anything that it takes to develop Manipur's industries. There is definitely a lot of potential. If not helping, as it is, the Government of India, Prime Minister's own initiative pushed a lot of sports-related activities to Manipur. If there are industries which want to go there and produce sports equipments, I'm taking that as an example, we'll be happy to support. But the proposal has to come from the state government.
சரவணன் சென்னை நாணய விகடன் நீங்கள் பேசும்போது பெரு சிலி போன்ற நாடுகளுக்கு வந்து மார்க்கெட் புது மார்க்கெட் பார்த்துட்டு இருக்கோன்னு சொன்னீங்க. அங்கே எந்த மாதிரி பொருட்களை ஏற்றுமதி பண்ணுறதுக்கு இந்தியாவிலேருந்து வாய்ப்பு இருக்குது?
முதல்ல நம்மளோட மருந்து பொருட்கள், அதாவது உடம்பு சரியில்லைன்னா உங்களுக்கு மருத்துவர்கிட்ட போய் மருந்து வாங்குறீங்க, அந்த மருந்து பொருட்கள், அதே மாதிரி நம்மளோட ஆட்டோமொபைல்ஸ், நம்மளோட டெக்ஸ்டைல்ஸ், என்ஜினியரிங் எக்யூப்மெண்ட்ஸ், இது எல்லாத்துக்கும் அங்கே நல்ல ஒரு சான்ஸ் இருக்குது. அதோடு இல்லாமல் அங்கே உங்களுக்கு தெரியும் சில்லிலேருந்து காப்பர் எக்ஸ்போர்ட்டு நடக்குது. நம்மளுக்கு காப்பர் ரொம்ப தேவை. அந்த நாட்டிலேருந்து நம்மளுக்கு எளிமையான முறையில் காப்பர் ரா மெட்டீரியலாக வந்து சேர்றதுக்கு இப்போ வாய்ப்பு இருக்குது. ஏன்னா நம்ம அக்ரிமெண்ட் சைன் பண்ணிருக்கோம் அவங்களோட.
हेलो मैडम मिनिस्टर, मैं रजनीकांत वशिष्ठ लखनऊ से। कानपुर को कभी मैनचेस्टर कहा जाता था इंडस्ट्री के लिहाज से। वो कानपुर शहर में अब लेदर इंडस्ट्री है और वो भी बहुत ही बैड शेप में बिकॉज ऑफ पोल्यूशन कंसर्न्स एंड ऑल दैट। क्या उसके लिए कानपुर को इंडस्ट्रियली डेवलप करने के लिए कोई प्लान्स मिनिस्ट्री के पास है?
I want to underline this principle first of all. If I'm sitting here or if the ministry is here, it doesn't mean that we pick on a particular place and do, yes, this place is industrial belt. Wo zamana gaya. We don't sit and plan for which center has to be developed in which place. If proposals come from states, if it's an SEZ or if it's something where our intervention is required, we do. Earlier, for export promotion, some kind of an infrastructure creating expenditure was involved. We used to send the money in the name of ASAID. Now that doesn't anymore happen because ASAID money has gone off to the state governments under the 14th Finance Commission. So particularly on Kanpur, or on any particular area from any other part, no, we don't sit and plan for it. It is for the state governments to do it, and if there are any technical assistance, or if there are any project assistance, or if investments have to go there, some FDI is coming and they want to set up a business, we come into the picture.
Yeah, Sundareshan, who's from Newsrise. Yeah, yeah, you can ask that question. You can talk. Yeah.
Am I audible? Yeah. So the question is regarding FDI policy in e-commerce, specifically FDI policy in e-commerce, specifically B2C. B2B I talked about earlier this year, but B2C, it's still not clear. What is the status on that? Apart from that, another thing that there was this thing about harmonizing FDI policy across sectors. One of them would be Amitabh Kant sir had said that we would harmonize FMCG, retail and e-commerce together.
Hang on. I'm a bit slow with my English. You're too quick.
So the first question is FDI in e-commerce, business to consumers. The second, what is the status on that? The second question is harmonizing FDI policy across sectors. So there was supposed to be a committee. What is the status on that? So these are the two questions.
The first one I thought was very clear. If anything, I go on to every press conference, there's at least one question on it, and I've honestly answered it, not in single line, in paragraphs. FDI, B2C, no. Clear? Then the second, I might have to ask Balla, or I might have to ask a former DGFT as to what is it that you're talking about in FDI across the board, reconciliation, rationalizing, Niti Aayog, Amitabh Kant. I have no idea. If one of them can speak, I'm glad to hear. Atul, do you want to come here to answer that? Because
harmonization across sectors, FDI.
Please come, because I'm.
There was a committee which was set up under CEO Niti Aayog by the Prime Minister's office to examine all the matters related to e-commerce, ma'am, which you're aware.
No, but he's talking about across the board FDI.
No, there's no
Is
such.
it?
There is no such.
No such.
To harmonize across
There is no
sectors.
such committee.
No, wait a minute. We'll hear him out again. Would you want to say it again?
No.
So you want to repeat your question again? Oh, you also have the same question.
So the greater synergy between the broader FDI policy and sectoral guidelines. So there should be a greater harmonization between these two.
Please don't mind me. I'm not being cynical. I honestly don't understand the question. Would you please, both of you all, for the benefit of all of us, so that we give you a pertinent answer and not a guessy answer, would you please repeat?
I will give it a shot again. So,
No, you can make it wider.
So the report said, it was a few months ago, that FDI policy in FMCG and retail and e-commerce, it's being looked into harmonizing the rules across the three sectors. So there was a committee which was looking to, looking into it, the three sectors, harmonizing FDI policy. So I'm asking whether there's a status on that, a status update on that.
Okay. Would you also care to please expand on the answer on the question that you had?
So what we have heard was that there's this broader FDI policy. I mean, on different sectors, it says this sector X. So FDA policy says something, and then there are a lot of restrictions when you actually go to apply for licenses in those sectors. So there was this talk of harmonization between these two. Sectoral guidelines that are administered by ministries, and there is this FDA, broader FDA policy.
Who's that you're dealing with? Who's dealing that? Who's dealing with that, the other one that you're talking, as per your understanding?
So, I mean, it should be you, right? Some committee. Yeah.
So will Atul give the answer? For me, there is no such committee. I do not know who or where announced it. There is no such committee. If I've understood your question, and I have 3 of my officers here who are also saying no such committee. All right?
If
I
I'm-
hope that answers both your questions.
And the broader issue
Thank you,
of
Atul.
broader
I think
issue
we
of
can invite
compatibility between the FDI policy and the sectoral policy, I think. The same question.
Yes.
Ma'am, actually, over the last couple of years, I know because I was handling insurance earlier, so they had got inputs from us in DFS on the insurance sector policy and incorporated into the FDI policy. Similarly, the FDI policy which DIPP has compiled has interacted with all the sectoral ministries and incorporated their input. So I don't think there is any major incompatibility. There might be some stray cases which you can bring to their knowledge if there is. But otherwise it is harmonized.
I think the Honorable Minister, she can take two more. Okay, right.
Ma'am, the US President-elect Mr. Trump is known to be quite against TPP. So everybody now says that TPP is very unlikely to happen. So what will be its impact on RCEP negotiations, and how do you see the whole thing?
What each of the candidates said during campaign is one thing. Now that you have a president-elect of the US, we need to know what position they're going to take and what it is. And it is only after that can I respond. So we'll wait for that.
Put it on. Yeah.
For protectionist measures for the steel industry, the domestic steel industry in particular.
Steel?
Yes, ma'am.
Any more? No. Any more? There is an anti-dumping duty.
At least that was being talked about.
One minute.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, the reason why I'm asking you in the form of a question or answering you in the form of a question is the anti-dumping duty, which is for a period of time, was originally for certain number of items, which was 173, am I right, Palla? MIP.
Mm-hmm.
That 173 from the MIP from that has come down to 66 or something. All right? That's one side of the story. The other is the anti-dumping. There's no more.
So,
our ministry deals with these, and only these two are the instruments that we utilize, and that's about it. Yeah?
So there will be no more measures.
I've answered you.
Okay.
சிக்கான நிறைய பப்ளிக் செக்டார் யூனிட்ஸை சென்ட்ரல் கவர்மெண்ட்ஸ் வந்து அதை ஷட் டவுன் பண்ணுறதுக்கு டிசைட் பண்ணியிருந்தாங்க. ஸோ அதில் சிக் யூனிட்ஸ், பப்ளிக் செக்டார் யூனிட்ஸ், ஸோ அதில் ஒன்று சேலம் ஸ்டீல் அத்தாரிட்டி ஆஃப் இந்தியா. ஸோ அதை மூடக்கூடாது, வேறு ஆல்டர்னேட்டிவ் பண்ணணும் அப்படின்னு நிறைய எம்ப்ளாயிஸ் கேட்டுட்ருக்காங்க. ஸோ அதுக்கு ஏதாவது சென்ட்ரல் கவர்மெண்ட் ஸ்டெப்ஸ் வந்து எடுத்திருக்காங்களா? அது ஏதாவது அரசோட கவனத்துக்கு கொண்டு வந்திருக்காங்களா? ரெண்டாவது, காமர்ஸ் இண்டஸ்ட்ரி தமிழ்நாட்டில் வேறு என்னென்ன திட்டங்களை செயல்படுத்தியிருக்காங்க, கொஞ்சம் ப்ரீஃபாக சொல்ல முடியுமா?
சேலம் ஸ்டீலை பற்றி ரெப்ரசன்டேஷன் வந்து சேர்ந்ததா எனக்கு தெரியாது. ஸ்டீல் மினிஸ்ட்ரிக்கு போயிருக்கலாம். ஸ்டீல் மினிஸ்ட்ரி அதுக்கு தகுந்த பதில் உங்களுக்கு கொடுப்பாங்க, அதை நான் சொல்ல முடியாது. காமர்ஸ் மினிஸ்ட்ரி அண்ட் இண்டஸ்ட்ரி மூலமாக தமிழ்நாட்டுக்கு நாங்கள் பண்ணது என்னென்னா, அந்த குளோபல் இன்வெஸ்டர்ஸ் சப்மிட் மூலமாக தான் இந்த விசாகப்பட்டினம் சென்னை காரிடார் அதோடு நிறுத்தாமல் சென்னையிலேருந்து தூத்துக்குடி வரைக்கும் எடுத்துகிட்டு போகிறதுக்கான அனௌன்ஸ்மெண்ட் பண்ணது நான் தான். அந்த சென்னைலேருந்து தூத்துக்குடியோடு நிற்காமல் திருப்பி மேற்கே குளச்சல் வரைக்கும் எடுத்துகிட்டு போனதும் நம்ம அனௌன்ஸ் பண்ணது தான். விச் மீன்ஸ் அந்த இண்டஸ்ட்ரியல் காரிடார் மாத்திரம் இல்லாமல் அதை சுற்றுப்புற ஏரியாவில் இருக்கக்கூடிய சில நோடல் சென்டர்ஸில் இண்டஸ்ட்ரியல் ஹப் பில்டப் பண்ணுறதுக்கும் தமிழ்நாட்டிலேருந்து முதலமைச்சர் அப்போது சொல்லி டீம் வந்து நம்மளோட பேசிட்டு போயிருக்காங்க. ஸோ அதற்கான உரிய முயற்சிகள் நடந்துட்டு தான் இருக்குது. அதை தவிரன்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, சென்னை பெங்களூர் காரிடாரில் உங்களுக்கு தும்கூர் போகிறதுக்கு முன்னாடி தமிழ்நாடு மூலமாக போகும்போது ஹோசூர் அந்த பெல்ட்டில் நிறைய இண்டஸ்ட்ரியல் டெவலப்மெண்ட்டுக்கு வாய்ப்பு இருக்குது. ஸோ இதெல்லாம் நாங்கள் எடுத்த முயற்சி தான்.
எனி இன்ஃபர்மேஷன்ஸ் அபவுட் எய்ம் ஏன்னா எய்ம்ஸ் வந்து சரியான பிளேஸ் தமிழ்நாட்டில் இல்லை அப்படின்னு அது சென்டர் ரிஜெக்ட் பண்ணிட்டு தான் சில இன்ஃபர்மேஷன்ஸ் போய்கிட்டு இருக்கு, நியூஸ் போயிட்டு இருக்கு. ஸோ அது எய்ம்ஸ் எங்கே
இல்லை ஒரு நிமிஷம், எய்ம்ஸுக்கு நிலம் கொடுக்கறது தமிழ்நாட்டு அரசோட ப்ரிராகேட்டிவ். அவங்க எங்கே நிலம் கொடுக்குறாங்க, அந்த கொடுத்த நிலம் எய்ம்ஸ் செட்டப் பண்ணுறதுக்கான வசதியோடு இருக்கான்னு பார்த்துக்கிட்டு ஹெல்த் மினிஸ்ட்ரி அங்கே எய்ம்ஸ் அனௌன்ஸ் பண்ணுவாங்க.
இல்லை தமிழ்நாடு கவர்மெண்ட்டு ஒரு 12 இடங்களை சூஸ் பண்ணியிருந்தாங்க, அது எந்த இடமும் சரியில்லை அப்படின்னு சென்ட்ரல் கவர்மெண்ட் அதை ரிஜெக்ட் பண்ணிட்டதா ஒரு தகவல்.
எனக்கு தெரியாது, அந்த தகவல் எனக்கு தெரியாது. ஆனால் 12 இடத்தையும் பார்த்துட்டு அவங்க ரிஜெக்ட் பண்ணாங்கன்னா 13ஆம் இடம் கொடுக்கறதுக்கு நல்லது தமிழ்நாட்டுக்கு கொடுத்தா பண்ணுவாங்க. அது ரிஜெக்ட் பண்ணாங்களான்றது எனக்கு தெரியாது.
ஸோ எப்போவுமே ஒரு பிளான் அனௌன்ஸ் பண்ணிட்டாங்க அப்படின்னா ரிஜெக்ட் பண்ண மாட்டாங்க, அப்படி தானே?
12 இடம் கொடுத்தீங்கன்னா 1 எடுத்துட்டு 11 ரிஜெக்ட் பண்ண மாட்டாங்களா? என்னங்க நீங்க சொல்றீங்க?
இல்லை, எந்த தமிழ்நாடு கவர்மெண்ட் கொடுத்த எந்த ஒரு இடமும் எய்ம்ஸ் செட்டப் பண்ணுறதுக்கு போதுமான சரியானதா இல்லை.
எனக்கு உங்ககிட்ட நான் ஒரு மன்னிப்போட சொல்ல வேண்டிய விஷயம் என்னன்னா, எய்ம்ஸை பற்றிய விவரம் என்கிட்ட இருக்காது, ஹெல்த் மினிஸ்டர்கிட்ட இருக்கும். ஆனாலும் நான் அதுக்கு பதில் கொடுக்கறதுக்கு முயற்சி பண்ணேன்.
இதுதான் ஒரு சென்ட்ரல் கவர்மெண்ட் ரெப்ரசன்டேட்டிவ் அப்படின்ற முறையில் அதை கேட்குறேன்.
சென்ட்ரல் கவர்மெண்ட் ரெப்ரசன்டேட்டிவ் நீங்க ஒரு மீடியா ரெப்ரசன்டேட்டிவா வாக்குவாதத்தில் இடம் பெற்றா நல்லா இருக்காது.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, on behalf of Press Information Bureau, we thank you. It was really kind of you. You gave generously your time and energy. Thank you very, very much. And friends, thanks for being here. And tomorrow we'll start the session sharply at 9:45 a.m. Thank you, madam.
Important information for our outstation delegates. I request the outstation delegates to please